Welcome back to Alberta. With me from Calgary is Premier Danielle Smith. Premier Smith, congratulations.
Thanks, Dawna.
You know, you said in your speech last night your oath is to serve all Albertans, no matter how they voted. You were shut out of Edmonton, though. You lost seats to the NDP in Calgary, including some of your top cabinet ministers, and you did run some pretty negative attack ads during the campaign. Is that all really behind you now?
Well, I would say that I was on the receiving end of a pretty negative advertising campaign for not just the duration of the election campaign, but for several months. I've always tried to keep my campaign very positive, focused on moving Alberta forward, and I think that's what people voted for. We got almost 53% of the vote, and so I think people wanted to see us continue with jobs, economy, investment, affordability, the reforms that we've made on public health care, and of course our approach to public safety and mental health and addiction. And I think that was the message that resonated with people. That's the message that I got.
I guess what I'm asking about is the partisanship. Is it over?
Well, when you have a 4-year mandate, you have an opportunity to govern and to reach across the aisle. And I especially want to work with our frontline healthcare and education professionals because we've got a lot of work that we need to do. We had some disruption in education in the last few years. We know that there's a mental health crisis as well among young kids. We have a new curriculum that we want to implement. And we've already started making some great strides in healthcare. We want to continue that. The next big push, of course, is making sure that everybody has access to a family practitioner. And so I'm really hopeful that we'll be able to work with the front line to be able to address those needs of Albertans.
The first policy point you made in your acceptance speech was that you're not going to raise taxes without a referendum. Where are you going to raise the money to improve things like healthcare and education?
One of the things that we discovered is that by reducing tax rates, you could actually increase revenue. We brought our tax rate from 12% down to 8% on our job creators, and investment flowed into our province. We now have more corporate income tax than we have in our history, and that's going to be our message, is Alberta's open for business. Alberta is calling. We want to continue to have jobs and investment and people coming here, because as we grow our economy, that grows our revenues, which will allow us to continue to meet those priorities of Albertans. And I'm looking forward to that continuing, and I think that's what Albertans voted for last night.
The 2023 budget, I think, was based on oil being at $79 a barrel. Today, it's down to less than 70. Are you confident you can keep all your spending promises?
Well, look, we have a budget that has a balanced budget requirement, and that's what we're going to work towards. I'm really hopeful that we're going to see an increase in revenues across the board, because we have been seeing record amounts of investment coming in from venture capital. We've got major projects that are coming in, and we've had 6 quarters of people moving to our province. So I'll watch and see what happens. You know, sometimes oil prices go up, sometimes they go down. I think what we're seeing is that there's a long-term energy security issue, and Alberta increasingly is being looked at as one of the solutions to that. So if we can work collaboratively with our federal government so that we can get more of our product to market, get more, particularly LNG to market, develop new sources of revenue because of our hydrogen industry and carbon capture, utilization and storage and geothermal and lithium, I'm really confident that that diversification is going to allow us to be able to continue to grow our economy and grow our revenues.
The previous UCP leader, Jason Kenney, was ousted by the party last year. How confident are you that you can keep the United Conservative Party united?
Well, look, I mean, getting a 53% mandate was pretty exciting for me. It means that the majority of Albertans love the vision that we put forward. We have a little bit more work to do to make sure that we heal some of the divide, because it was a pretty fractious contest. But I'm really confident, because I've got representation from Fort McMurray and Grand Prairie, Red Deer, Medicine Hat, Lethbridge, Calgary, and the area around Edmonton. I think we're going to put together a really diverse cabinet that's going to represent the interests of all Albertans, and I think people will judge me based on not only the 7 months I've had to govern, but also as I continue going forward. I think people are pretty excited about what we're going to be able to do over the next few years.
Have you heard from the folks at Take Back Alberta, such as David Parker, who you know takes credit for getting you into the leadership?
No, I have heard from all kinds of members. I've been on the campaign trail now for over a year, because I've been doing my leadership, and then there was a by-election, and then of course we've had the general election. At the moment I've got a new mandate. I've got a new job, and that's the job to be Premier for all Albertans, and that's what I'm focused on doing.
But you know, Take Back Alberta takes credit for getting you into the leadership. I'm just asking if you've heard from them, if they said, "Good job, Danielle."
Well, Well, you know what, leadership contests are one thing, but then when you get a mandate from the people, you've got to govern for all Albertans. I mentioned that last night in my speech, and I meant it, and it's part of the reason why we're going to continue focusing on the things that I know I got a mandate for, and that was moving Alberta forward and making sure that our economy stays strong so that we can address the priorities of Albertans. That's what I'm going to be laser focused on doing.
Well, there are moderate Conservatives in Alberta who did vote NDP, who worry about who is controlling the UCP now, who fear it could be moving too far right. What can you say to reassure those moderate Conservatives?
Well, I would say we didn't lose that much in our popular vote. It was 55% last time around. It was 52.5% this time around. I think what has actually happened in Alberta is that the left has consolidated around a single party, which is the NDP. So we're now really a two-party province, and that means that we're going to face a pretty fierce and unified opposition. And that's how democracy works. We're going to put our ideas forward, they're going to test them, and hopefully we'll be able to make better decisions as a result.
I know you spoke to the Prime Minister, I think, today. How did that conversation go? Well,
I thanked him for the work that he has done with us on helping to fight forest fires. We've had our worst spring forest fire season in our history, over 1 million hectares burned. We've had several communities, up to 35,000 people evacuated. We still have a new emerging crisis in Fort Chip with a fire there that's threatening the community. And one of the things that occurred is that the Prime Minister gave us military personnel to be able to help with that. So we've had up to 4 companies, 400 people who have been helping us with the fires, and he's extended that as well. And I'm grateful to him for it, because some of those rural, remote communities are hard to reach, and I'm going to work with the Prime Minister where I can. I also told him that I want to reset our relationship and hope that we can move forward together with an aspiration of being carbon neutral by 2050, and work together to make sure that there are no decisions made at the federal level that will impair or impact our oil and natural gas industry. And so we'll see how that relationship unfolds, but I did let him know that I think we're all better off when Alberta is allowed to thrive, because when we do well, the rest of the country does well. And that's the spirit that I'm going into this new mandate with.
All right, Premier Danielle Smith, thank you.
Thanks, Dawna.